All right, we are going to get started with giving out some awards and getting into the night's festivities. But first, we've got a sponsor to thank, so let's do that right now. The Rocket and Raygun Awards are brought to you by the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation, and they've got tournaments happening every single weekend that you don't want to miss out on. You can find out all about them at tgs.gg. We're going for the action and shooter category, or action/shooter category. Here are our nominees. Halo Infinite, developed by 343 Industries and published by Xbox Game Studios. Call of Duty Vanguard, developed by Sledgehammer Games and published by Activision. Deathloop, developed by Arcane Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. Returnal, developed by Housemarque and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Back 4 Blood, developed by Turtle Rock Studios and published by Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. I think everybody can kind of guess who the winner is or what game is the winner in our action shooter category. It is Halo Infinite, and a big part of the reason why is the multiplayer came out with a real sense of fury and fun. So let's celebrate the winner of the action shooter category.
My favorite memory just of being in this industry was flying to Vancouver for the first time to host Rocket and Raygun Awards with everybody on the team. And that was just such a highlight. I remember being so nervous. Oh my goodness, we're going to see each other again. This is a real award show. We're doing this, guys. Yeah. Such a good time. And then another time Scott completely got...
Yeah, he went down to his underwear.
Clothes off.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Well, okay, oh, sorry.
that almost got us kicked off TV. No, I didn't. It was.
Oh, whoops. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right, it's time to give away another award, and this one is for the best sports games of 2021. NBA 2K22, developed by Visual Concepts and published by 2K Sports. NHL 22, developed by EA Vancouver and published by EA Sports. Riders Republic, developed by Ubisoft Annecy and published by Ubisoft. MLB The Show 21, developed by San Diego Studio and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Mario Golf Super Rush, developed by Camelot Software Planning and published by Nintendo. The one that did stop traffic for me was Riders Republic, and that is actually our winner. Let's celebrate that for a second. Okay, so I didn't put Riders Republic in the racing category, and primarily it's because there was only one game that was going to win Best Racing Game of 2021. All right, we are heading into the big category of tonight's awards, and that is the best game for the Nintendo Switch in 2021. But what I wanted to do was reach out to our friends in the media, some prominent games writers and people that are in front of the camera all the time, and some YouTubers and stuff, and ask them what is the best game for the Nintendo Switch in 2021. Let's take a look.
Easily go with Metroid Dread. That's really up there just overall for me. I really had my doubts. I was one person that had doubts about Metroid Dread going into it. I wasn't sure whether Mercury Steam could totally pull it off. But I think once I started getting the speed booster and like Shine Spark puzzles and stuff, and it's like, man, they like actually really get it. They really get what 2D Metroid fans enjoy in terms of the movement and agility of that game. It's a very tight feeling action experience there, and I've really had an excellent time with it.
My Nintendo Switch 2021 Game of the Year is none other than Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I could have easily said Ace Attorney Chronicles. I could have said Metroid Dread, but I'm not surprised by the level of quality in those games, given the history of their franchises. So when it comes to Dragon Ball Z, we've mostly seen fighting games, but Kakarot has been adapted to open world format. And the game plays great and portable, as well as it does on TV. It looks comparable to the ports on more powerful systems. It's a blast to play and relive through the story of Dragon Ball Z. Even if you've seen it a million times, you haven't seen it like this. And the action is just great, the story's great, side missions and everything just brings the world alive. So that impressed me, and that's my 2021 Nintendo Switch Game of the Year.
For my Switch game of 2021, I'm going with Metroid Dread. It's a great time right now to be a Metroid fan, isn't it? We're talking about Metroid Dread, a brand new 2D Metroid game in 2021 that's taking the world by storm right now. I think the biggest part about this that I like so much is they didn't stray too much away from tradition for these 2D Metroid games. They introduced this sense of dread, which goes along great with the title, but the way it plays, the exploration, without holding your hand too much, really makes me look at the Metroid formula and realize it still works, and I'm so happy that Metroid Dread was received well and was just a ton of fun to play through. I completely recommend it if you have not tried it out. That's why it's my Nintendo Switch game of 2021.
I don't know if this is cheating or not, but my Nintendo Switch Game of the Year for 2021 is also my Nintendo Switch Game of the Year for 2020. That's Animal Crossing, and more specifically, Animal Crossing, the Happy Home Paradise DLC. They have added so much to this game, from the gyroids and cooking to the entire vacation island where you can design homes for all these different villagers, create schools and hospitals and restaurants. And they've added so much to this game that I am almost as addicted to it as I was back in March of 2020. It is by far my favorite Switch game of 2021.
The only answer to this is Metroid Dread. It's the return to the series. I'm not the biggest Metroid fan necessarily. I really enjoy Super Metroid, and I really enjoy Fusion, but I'm not one of those that kind of sit and obsess about the series. I did obsess about Dread, and I think primarily the reason for that is just the absolute sublime atmosphere and the audio design. The Switch isn't necessarily known for the best audio capabilities. This is one of the best sounding games. When you just stop and listen to the environments and see how it all organically comes together, I think Dread is sort of on another level, and it's kind of that Nintendo quality mixed then with some European sensibilities in Mercury Steam. I was really happy with what they did with Metroid 2. It wasn't perfect, but I saw a lot of potential, and I'm so happy that with Dread, Mercury Steam actually did reach that potential, and I can't wait to see what's up for them next.
My pick for Nintendo Switch game of 2021 would have probably been Metroid Dread. I gotta be honest, Metroid Dread is a game that I ended up really liking a lot. It felt like the classic Metroid games coming back. A lot of those old little beats here and there. It felt very well contained and orchestrated, the way they kind of made everything. And I love that 2D, 3D, I think it's called 2.5D aesthetic. It was really awesome the way that the game looked. Wasn't a big fan of the loading screens, but I was still waiting through every loading screen just to get through the entire experience. Regardless though, the game I would probably pick for Game of the Year for 2021 is an indie game called Loop Hero. Loop Hero just came out on the Nintendo Switch, and although I didn't play it on the Nintendo Switch, I did play it on the PC and I really, really liked it. I guess past couple years, roguelikes have really just been, I don't know, taking up all of my time. But regardless, it's a very good game. If I didn't pick Metroid Dread, I would have picked Loop Hero. So I think I'm gonna pick Loop Hero, even though I haven't played it yet.
Hey folks, what is going on? Justin Masson here with Nintendo Dad. So what is my 2021 Nintendo Switch Game of the Year? Listen, it's pretty simple. It's gotta be the game that brought me back to the early 90s sitting in front of my Super Nintendo. And that game, of course, is Metroid Dread. Wow, a game 20 years in the making. And it was absolutely amazing. It had that feeling of isolation, right? That feeling of, I can't go any further. I need the new weapon. I need the new upgrade. And when you get that upgrade, you just feel invincible. Like nothing can stop you. And you begin to open up and reveal that map. It's absolutely amazing. The power-ups were awesome. And those boss battles, man, those boss battles. I think I just about broke a controller or two. What an amazing game. Metroid Dread is my Game of the Year for Nintendo Switch 2021.
My pick for the Nintendo game of 2021 has to be Metroid Dread. It is a game that often frustrated me just purely off of how often I would get lost and how often the solution to me getting lost would be for me to blow up a wall that I didn't realize was destructible. And I know that is the name of the game with Metroid, but for me, Metroid Dread was the first Metroid I was jumping into as a, all right, let me see through this entire Metroid experience. Usually, for me, Metroid is kind of one and done, you know, like I'll hop in for a little bit, kind of get bored with it and not really stick through. Metroid's not my jam, and I've never claimed to love Metroid. I like, you know, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, Guacamelee, and other types of similarly laid out platformers. Metroid Dread was the first Metroid where I picked it up and really dedicated to it. And what I found that by the time I had finished Metroid Dread, I had fallen in love specifically with the boss fights and the combat encounters in the game. I think the way that the game, one, does the Metroid thing of slowly dealing out these abilities and cool maneuvers that you can do, but also them being things that really do add this feeling of power and this feeling of mobility and this feeling of being able to kind of be this cool badass version of Samus. I think that stuff was really cool and really well done, and the way that you would really have to learn the boss mechanics and go through the motions of figuring out how to take out this gigantic beast or how to take out this underwater monster. That stuff was some of the most satisfying content I experienced in a game this year, and it is for sure my pick for the Nintendo game of 2021.
We do have some nominees for Best Nintendo Switch Game of the Year. Let's take a look at those nominees. Metroid Dread, developed by Mercury Steam and Nintendo, and published by Nintendo. Monster Hunter Rise, developed and published by Capcom. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, developed and published by Nintendo. No More Heroes 3, developed by Grasshopper Manufacture and published by Grasshopper Manufacture and Marvelous Inc. Cruisin' Blast, developed by Raw Thrills and published by Raw Thrills and Game Mill Entertainment. Yes, of course, our winner is Metroid Dread, and we're going to celebrate that right now. and it is the best role-playing game of 2021. Here's a look at the nominees. Monster Hunter Rise, developed and published by Capcom. Tales of Arise, developed and published by Bandai Namco. Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin, developed by Capcom and Marvelous, and published by Capcom. Scarlet Nexus, developed and published by Bandai Namco. Shin Megami Tensei 5, developed by Atlus, and published by Sega, Nintendo, and Atlus. Honestly, this is a coin flip category.
This is a coin flip. I'm with you on that.
You're not going to go wrong with any choice here, but the one that really knocked me on my butt and the one that I'm giving the Rocket and Raygun Award to is Tales of Arise. We're moving on to our next category, and this one actually, it's pretty easy to pick because there was really only one contender, and that is Guilty Gear Strive for our best fighting game of 2021. Okay, we are going to move over to a virtual reality, and I actually reached out to a couple of huge fans of virtual reality to get their thoughts on the best games of 2021. Let's hear from them.
What's up, EP fam, virtual boys and girls? Ryan for the VR Grid here, and we're talking the best VR game of 2021. We've had amazing games like Hitman 3, Song in the Smoke, Sniper Elite, Lone Echo 2, Eye of the Temple. The list goes on and on, but the one that grabbed me the most was one that came out earlier in the year, and that is Demeo. As a fan of Dungeons & Dragons, this game just rocked me to my nostalgic core. You and up to 3 other players can play in Dungeons & Dragons action. It's like a full-on tabletop, it's animated and wonderful and beautiful, and you can chill with your friends in this cool virtual basement, and it's just a great time. Even if you don't like Dungeons & Dragons, playing with 3 other friends is just a blast. I guarantee you'll love it. PC or Quest owners, pick this thing up. It's amazing.
My favorite VR game for 2021 has got to be Lone Echo 2. The year Lone Echo came out, it was my overall game of the year. It is one of the best video game experiences I have ever had. And Lone Echo 2 does not disappoint as a sequel. More of that connection that you have with another character in VR, immersed in this space sim. Another experience of feeling weightless and that wonderful kinetic movement pushing off the sides of things, floating weightless through space inside the space station. And new, interesting ways to challenge you without killing anything. It's a game where I don't kill anything, and yet I'm still having a blast. I'm still having these pulse-pounding, exciting moments. Wonderful, smart puzzles. A gorgeous, gorgeous game in VR. Really shows what tethered VR is still capable of. And I know we're moving away from tethered in the Oculus Quest 2 world. But tethered VR, when you can push it with a real powerhouse PC, gorgeous, fun, inventive, a truly thrilling experience in VR. Lone Echo 2.
All right, we have got some nominees for the best virtual reality game of 2021. Resident Evil 4, developed by Armature and Capcom, published by Capcom and Oculus. Demeo, developed and published by Resolution Games. Lucky's Tale, developed and published by Playful Corp. Resist, developed and published by The Binary Mill. Lone Echo 2, developed by Ready at Dawn and published by Oculus Studios. Anyways, let's celebrate our winner for the best virtual reality game of 2021. It is Resident Evil 4. Let's move on. We have the big category of the day, which is the best PlayStation 5 game of 2021. And what I did, like what we like to do with the Rocket and Raygun Awards is reach out across and have conversations. And, we've many people that have worked on EP and reviews on the run, like Behr, join us for those conversations. But, of course, we've got lots of friends around the industry. And I asked people what their pick for the best game of PlayStation 5 would be. And, let's take a look at that right now.
Okay, it's time for the PlayStation Game of the Year, and this time I'm going with Housemarque's Returnal. And this comes down to the sheer replayability of its design combined with the satisfying mechanics. This combination of arcade-style Housemarque action alongside rogue and Souls-like elements works surprisingly well. I've been playing Returnal off and on since its release and continue to be amazed by what the team has delivered here. It's also a technical showpiece for PlayStation 5 with hugely impressive particles and lighting all running at 60 frames per second. It's absolutely worth checking out and it's definitely so much fun to play. So yeah, that's my game of the year for the PlayStation.
Yo, Vic, my dude, showing mad love to Electric Playground always and forever. You know what I'm saying? It's the GOAT of the game, HIPHOPGAMER, Hot 97 Logitech GAMD. Now listen to me, man. PlayStation Game of the Year. My personal PlayStation Game of the Year is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Period. There's no game. To me, this is the best game ever made, period. And what I mean by that, I'm talking about graphics, gameplay, voice acting, sound, design, environment. Like, I never seen an entire project come together the way Insomniac Games put Ratchet and Clank together. And y'all know how I feel about graphics and just next generation. Like, this PS5, this is a game that shows off what PS5 can do when a game is made only for PS5 and the focus is solely on PS5. And for us to get that, like, out the gate, come on, B, you kidding me? Yeah, son, yeah, Ratchet and Clank, man. That joint was amazing. Ratchet, Rivet, like everything, yo, come on, man. Game of the Year. The fact that I didn't win no awards at the Game Awards is suspect. Like, I'm gonna speak about that too. Because, like, congratulations to all the winners always, it's the industry. But come on, B. Ratchet and Clank wins nothing, yet it's the best representation of gaming that we got. Something ain't right there, B. But you know what it is, you know what I'm saying? Ratchet and Clank all day, let's get it.
God, it's actually very difficult for me to pick a PlayStation Game of the Year this year because I think it has been fantastic 2021, what with Returnal, CANNATA, Ratchet & Clank, but my vote has to go to Deathloop. I could wax lyrical about why I think Deathloop is one of the best games ever made, but I think in terms of playing it on PlayStation, there was some really nice integrations with the DualSense controller, in particular when Juliana was sort of yelling at you over speakers and that was coming through the controller, as well as how the haptic feedback worked whenever your gun would jam, and when you were running around everywhere. I thought it felt really good to play. Also playing on PlayStation, it looked really nice, loaded in really fast. That's why it's my PlayStation Game of the Year.
My pick for the PlayStation Game of 2021 has to be Returnal. It is one that you probably all know very well. It is a roguelite third-person action shooter that takes place in space, where you play as Celine and you're going through the motions of going through the planet of Atropos, and you're going through the biomes over and over again to finally try and get to the end. And it caught me off guard. You know, I love Housemarque Studios, but they've never made something of this scope and volume. And this being their first quote-unquote AAA game, and it being their first game being published as PlayStation Studios, it's a game that I think means a lot to the studio and means a lot for the first year of the PlayStation 5, and means a lot just as a really good AAA roguelite, which you don't see very often. It is an addicting game. It is a beautiful game. The visuals are off the chain. I absolutely love the tentacle creatures and the effects you see on screen with the bullet hell mechanics and all that stuff. I think it is a very flashy, very good looking, very beautiful game. But mechanically, it was also just a joy to get into. It was a joy to die over and over again. It took me like 30 hours to beat that game, which is way longer than I think it's supposed to take to beat that game. But I got heavy into it, I got addicted to it, and I couldn't stop playing until I beat it. And so that is my pick for the PlayStation Game of the Year.
Best PlayStation Game of 2021 is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. This is a game that brings back these classic and beloved characters and IP to do something new and fun with its Rift/Portal system. But what it really does is take advantage of the PlayStation 5 hardware in a big important way. It offers ray tracing with its high fidelity mode, it offers a higher frame rate with its performance mode, and it sets a baseline for what we should expect from PlayStation exclusives going forward. It's an easy recommendation.
What's going on, Vic? It's Algie857, and my PlayStation Game of the Year has to go to, hands down, Returnal. Now this game, for anybody who knows Level 857 and me, they know already I'm not a big fan of roguelike games, but this is something special. Everything from the zero loading times to the freaking music, the atmosphere, tight gameplay, and the storyline that's just intriguing enough to keep you playing. Oh, it's amazing. And speaking of playing, I can't stop playing this freaking game. This thing is awesome. Yeah, you die a lot, yeah. But I can't stop playing.
My pick for PlayStation Game of the Year is CANNATA Bridge of Spirits. I am completely wowed by what Ember Labs was able to accomplish with their very first game. Them winning Best Debut and Best Indie at the Game Awards is such a perfect response to the amazing work that they did with this debut title. I can't believe this is the first game they ever made. I can't believe this is an indie game. It looks fantastic. It feels fantastic. And the only thing that I can't wait for more is whatever they do in the sequel. I can't even imagine what a little more budget and a little more push can give the talented team over there. There's truly something special here, and it is unlike anything I have ever seen.
My PlayStation Game of the Year is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. It's just so jolly, such a delight. It's blockbuster gaming at its best, and it used the DualSense to great effect. That's one of the big selling points of PlayStation 5 is the DualSense kind of separating itself from the other competition, and I thought Rift Apart did it really well. Rivet is a really cool new character, and it was just a blast all the way through. It's hard to play that game and not have a giant smile on your face the entire time.
My favorite PlayStation game of 2021 was Returnal. It just perfectly captures that bleak, brutalist, like dystopian sci-fi horror aesthetic that I just absolutely love in movies, and it turned it into a just completely insanely difficult but super fun video game. It's got just some of my favorite art direction of a game in ages. The sound design is so cool, right down to that, when you're hitting the triggers on the DualSense and it goes like pew, 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 pew. You're just shooting at this like big awful alien, and like everything is working in synchronicity. The audio, the visuals, the DualSense features, the rumble. I love all of it. I love this game so much, and I love watching Housemarque grow and evolve as a studio. So congrats to them. Returnal kicks ass. Please keep making more games like that.
Okay, we are going to look at our nominees for the best PlayStation 5 game. Returnal, developed by Housemarque and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Deathloop, developed by Arcane Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. CANNATA Bridge of Spirits, developed and published by Ember Lab. Resident Evil Village, developed and published by Capcom. I'm with you, man. Returnal is the best PlayStation 5 game of 2021. Let's celebrate that a little bit. Okay, Foobs, we are going to take a look at the nominees for the best indie games of 2021. We got some great games in this list. Death's Door, developed by Acid Nerve and published by Devolver Digital. Fist, Forged in Shadow Torch, developed by Thai Games and published by Billy Billy. Chicory, A Colorful Tale, developed by Greg Lobanoff and published by Finji. Cyber Shadow, developed by Mechanical Head and published by Yacht Club Games. CANNATA Bridge of Spirits, developed and published by Ember Lab. You know, I think for me in this category, and I don't know if you played this one, but the winner was pretty clear after how hooked I got on the game. Let's celebrate the winner of the best indie game of 2021 at the Rocket and Raygun. You know what, though? It is time for us to award a winner. And this is for the best strategy game of 2021. All right, it is time for us to move on to a category with actual nominees. And this is a very crowded category, and there are no wrong answers here. These are all fantastic games. Let's take a look at the nominees for best remastered or remade games of 2021. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, developed by Sucker Punch Productions and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Death Stranding Director's Cut, developed by Kojima Productions and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment and 505 Games. Mass Effect Legendary Edition, developed by BioWare and published by Electronic Arts. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, developed by Nintendo and Tantalus Media, and published by Nintendo. Resident Evil 4 VR for Oculus Quest 2, developed by Capcom and Armature, and published by Capcom and Oculus. Yeah, exceptional. Let's celebrate the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. They are the winner. We are moving on to the big category of the evening, and before we do that, we're going to hear from some of our friends from around the community about their favorite Xbox game in 2021.
My Xbox Game of the Year absolutely has to be Halo Infinite, and I say that as a person who has never had a huge affinity with Halo. It was on my radar, but then when that multiplayer dropped, I started playing it. I got sucked in more than I ever believed I could be. I became obsessed with it. I think the multiplayer is so strong. Yes, the progression there could be some tweaks and balances coming to that one, but ultimately I think I've never played a multiplayer game that just feels that good. It's been an amazing game to play and get like all of my friends in together and just, you know, play until late and have really good times playing Slayer and Oddball, and that was before the campaign even dropped. I've been playing it, and honestly, as someone who doesn't really have that many ties to Halo, I'm amazed with how much I'm enjoying it. I love the move to kind of this semi-open world, the fact that I can just go around and as the chief take on little like missions as I feel like it and get the upgrades. I also think the grappling hook is an unbelievable game changer. I don't understand why you'd be playing Halo Infinite and don't have the grappling hook like equipped at all times. It looks incredible. I applaud 343 for making the difficult decision to delay it, but ultimately I think that was the right move because the final product is fantastic. So that's why Halo Infinite is my Xbox Game of the Year.
My Xbox Game of the Year has to be Psychonauts 2. This sequel from Double Fine is an amazing adventure game that really delves into the story of Raz and his trial to become the psychonaut he always wanted to be, while also dealing with mental issues and mental illness in a very interesting way. It winds up addressing it without necessarily making fun of it, even though there are humorous aspects to the gameplay. But even if you get past the idea that you're diving into people's minds and addressing their phobias, their delusions, their fears, and as well as their hopes, you're also dealing with a very large, very rich, expansive world with a lot of memorable characters and a lot of interesting set pieces and moments of gameplay. Hopefully it doesn't take Double Fine another couple of years to give us a full sequel to this game, but it's gotta be one of the best games of 2021.
Okay, so my Xbox Game of the Year is a no-brainer. It's my favorite game of this year, that being Halo Infinite. I absolutely adore this game. I've grown up with this franchise, so seeing Halo Infinite kind of go back true to form was really exciting for me. The multiplayer and the gunplay, incredibly satisfying. There's such a deep sandbox to play with as well. I mean, that grapple hook, you have seen so many clips online already. It is just as much fun as you think it is when you're actually playing in-game. Plus, ranked can get very competitive, which I very much enjoy. I like to play Halo at a bit of a higher level, and ranked is just my cup of tea. And then the story, my goodness, I love how simplistic it can be for somebody who isn't a hardcore fan of Halo. You know, it's just, here's the bad guy, here's the good guy, you gotta take down the bad guy, you're playing as the good guy. But if you're a hardcore fan like myself, there's so much lore to dive into. And the performances, my goodness, the voice acting is top notch. This game has truly lived up to my high expectations, and that's why Halo Infinite is my Xbox Game of the Year.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Big Shop representing Level 857, and I'm here to tell you about Xbox and the Game of the Year. You know Xbox doesn't have too many exclusives. We know. But as of this recording, the campaign has not dropped yet, but Halo Infinite, Xbox Game of the Year, hands down. No question. If you've played the multiplayer, you know Halo's back. It's going down, guys. Halo, Xbox Game of the Year, no questions asked. Let's go.
The best Xbox game of the year is easily Halo Infinite. Are you kidding me? Halo is back. They did it. They accomplished the impossible, if I'm being honest. You know, after a couple fine entries in one of the most iconic franchises of all time, there's been a decade plus since people have had that clamoring and excitement for the green brand and for Master Chief being the mascot character of it all. But really, at the end of the day, Halo is about playing with your friends, and that is what Infinite does so well. It brings me back to the multiplayer experiences I had back in the LAN parties of Halo 1 or the early Xbox Live days of Halo 2, or when they really brought it all together with Halo 3. It feels like we're back, but in modern times. They kind of made the familiar different in all the best ways. It is a truly special title, and the multiplayer is free, and the campaign is available on Game Pass. Everyone should check this out.
Let's take a look at the nominees for the best Xbox game of 2021. Halo Infinite, developed by 343 Industries and published by Xbox Game Studios. Forza Horizon 5, developed by Playground Games and published by Xbox Game Studios. Psychonauts 2, developed by Double Fine and published by Xbox Game Studios. Death's Door, developed by Acid Nerve and published by Devolver Digital. Hitman 3, developed and published by IO Interactive. Let's celebrate the winner for the best Xbox Series S or X game of 2021. The best action adventure game of 2021. Here are our nominations. Psychonauts 2, developed by Double Fine and published by Xbox Game Studios. Returnal, developed by Housemarque and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Metroid Dread, developed by Mercury Steam and Nintendo and published by Nintendo. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Resident Evil Village, developed and published by Capcom. Let's get to our winner. All 5 of these nominees, Psychonauts 2, Returnal, Metroid Dread, Ratchet & Clank, and Resident Evil, all worthy, just like every game we talk about on the Rocket and Rayguns, but we can only pick one winner, and the best action-adventure game of 2021... We have got an award to give away, and this is for the best adventure category. And there were some cool adventure games. I did play some, but I thought that there was one in particular that was the strongest of 2021. And let's take a look at that winner right now. Our next group of nominees is going to be for the best family games, and I reached out to some of the folks out there that I know cover a lot of family-friendly stuff, and I asked them what was the best family game of 2021.
My pick for family-friendly game of 2021 has to be Mario Party Superstar, because there ain't no party like a Mario Party, and this one breaks out all the stops. You have 5 boards from the first 3 games of the long-running franchise, as well as 100 mini-games from the rest of the titles of the Mario Party series. Aside from just the wacky battles, the races to try to get as many stars as you possibly can on any board that you happen to be playing on, it's just a fun time to gather your friends or your family around with your Joy-Cons and see exactly who winds up coming out on top. You can play this game for hours and have a great time doing it, and it's all based off off the luck of the virtual die that you wind up rolling. Mario Party Superstar has to be the family-friendly pick.
2021 has actually been a year of really great family-oriented games, and I know this because my family and I, my two kids, my son Lincoln and my daughter Ellie, we spent a lot of time together getting to know Super Mario 3D World and WarioWare, and they'll always ask me to play these games and fire them up, and I'm happy to do that. But the one game that I want to give a shout out here for Family Game of the Year is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, is the one that I have really lost myself in recently. And I'm really enjoying playing with my kids, actually. It's simple enough that I can kind of let them decide, you know, where are we going next? And what move should this guy do? And what Pokemon should we throw out there? And things like that. And it is so special because they love it so much. And I love that they love it so much. And guess what? It's a good game. I really enjoy playing it as a newcomer to the Pokemon world. This is one that has been very special for me. So shout out to Pokemon Brilliant Diamond in 2021.
I don't even know why we're having this conversation. Because of course it has to be Mario Party Superstar. Wow, what a game. My kids were so excited when this game got announced. The Friday they came home from school, Dad, have you downloaded it? Dad, have you picked it up yet? Of course, when are we playing? We're gonna play after supper. Awesome! Everyone's in their pajamas, snacks around, it's up on the big screen, we're on the couches, couch co-op, playing together, playing the 100 mini games as a family, using those classic boards, and of course, the other awesome thing, it has online play. So they're able to connect with their friends and family who also have the game, get on a voice call, and have that experience together. And that has been absolutely amazing. And I 100% love it, and I would highly recommend it. Mario Party Superstars, family-friendly game of 2021.
Hey EP, it's Adam from Megadads, and I'm here to talk about the best family game for 2021.
And I'm Elliot.
And this is my son Elliot, and Elliot and I chose Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart for the PlayStation 5. Elliot, why did we pick this game?
Because it looks cool.
Because it looks cool, and it plays cool, and the characters are cool.
Yes.
And the sound is cool.
Yes.
And the DualSense feedback stuff where it rumbles and it pulls on the trigger is cool.
Maybe.
And we're cool.
No. We're not. We're not.
All right, we are going to now take a look at the nominees for the best family-friendly games of 2021. CANNATA Bridge of Spirits, developed and published by Ember Lab. Chicory, A Colorful Tale, developed by Greg Lobanoff and published by Finji. It Takes Two, developed by Hazelight Studios and published by Electronic Arts. Ratchet & Clank, A Rift Apart, developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl, developed by ILCA and Game Freak and published by Nintendo. The game that really knocked me on my butt for a family-friendly experience though this year, somebody said that Joseph Ferris gets the nod in the chat. I read that. It was scrolling by. But yes, it is It Takes Two from Hazelight, an absolutely incredible game. Let's take a little look, a little celebration of It Takes Two. We've got to move on to our big category, and that is the best PC game of 2021. And to help us with this discussion, let's go to our friends in the media right now.
PC Game of the Year is a tricky one. I spend all day producing videos on my PC, so when it comes time to game, I typically jump over to the TV for some console action. Yet there's some games that are just inherently better on PC. One such game is Doom Eternal. But wait, John, that was a 2020 game, right? Well, yes, but this year marked the release of the second DLC pack, The Ancient Gods Part 2, and that, along with the addition of hardware ray tracing and DLSS, pulled me back in. I played through the entirety of the original campaign along with both of the add-ons on my PC at 160 frames per second and had an absolute blast. I know, some folks have critique with Eternal, and that's perfectly fine, but I love playing the game and it ended up occupying most of my PC gaming time this year, which is why, despite its original release being last year, I'm going with Doom Eternal as my game of the year on PC for 2021. Thanks, The Ancient Gods Part 2, for making this possible.
All right, top PC game of the year for me has to be Halo Infinite. The single player campaign, the multiplayer maps are just awesome. The vehicles, the weapons, just everything, the pacing, the graphics, the sound design. I think the developers did an amazing job. Love that it came out simultaneously for PC as well as Xbox. And I gotta say, that is my top PC game of 2021, Halo Infinite.
My PC game of the year has to be Loop Hero. It was one that wasn't really on my radar until everyone started talking about it, and I succumbed, and I fell in love immediately. It is such a clever take on, I guess would you call it like a deck building game? But the thing that I really love the most about it is that you don't have to have all of your attention on it. I would have it on in the background while I was doing other things, and just, you know, that slow working towards progression, working towards expanding your camp, working towards defeating bigger and better monsters. I think it was just so clever. It took over my life for a good couple of weeks when it first came out, and I'm really glad that it's now on Switch, so that's why Loop Hero is my PC game of the year.
So, my pick for PC game of 2021 is Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Larian Studios, the folks behind Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2, are working on Baldur's Gate 3. And that is so far, setting up to be a fantastic RPG experience. But for those that preferred the older Baldur's Gates, the Icewind Dale or Planescape Torment, Baldur's Gate 3 isn't really that kind of experience. It's actually a bit closer to being Divinity Original Sin 3. However, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is much closer to being the spiritual successor to all of those old Infinity Engine games. It's a fantastic looking game. It's got great characters. The developer Alcott Games has improved vastly over their previous game, Pathfinder Kingmaker. And if you're also a D&D fan, the Pathfinder RPG system is based roughly on D&D. I think this top-down, party-based RPG still has its place. There's such a depth of content and RPG enjoyment to be found in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. So I urge everyone, if that's what you're looking for in an RPG, to try it out.
Okay, we do have some nominees for the best PC game of 2021. Let's take a look at those. Halo Infinite, developed by 343 Industries and published by Xbox Game Studios. Forza Horizon 5, developed by Playground Games and published by Xbox Game Studios. Psychonauts 2, developed by Double Fine and published by Xbox Game Studios. Hitman 3, developed and published by IO Interactive. Deathloop, developed by Arcane Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. I had to go with Halo. Halo is just, it's a juggernaut, and sure there's more to come, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful game. we are going to move on to our final discussions around the greatest title of 2021. And what I've done is I've reached out to our friends in the video game media community and asked them what is their game of the year for this year.
I say game of the year 2021 should go to Returnal, which is a bullet hell roguelike. When you die, you start all over again, like the way video games used to be, so I'm a big fan. Returnal, PS5.
Oh, I'll do this later. So my favorite game of the year, it's a little surprising to me because I usually go for these more independent titles like XO1, which I think is a fantastic game, one of my favorites of the year. But it's not going there, and it's also not going to go to the very creative Psychonauts 2. It's not going to any of those. The Master Chief did it. The Master Chief fought his way to the end. It's getting my vote. Halo Infinite, Game of the Year. It's just simple fun. You know, when you combine the extremely strong multiplayer with its campaign, which honestly is a little underwhelming. I was hoping for some hype, you know, give you chills moments. But when you combine those together, you have a solid package. It's just what the holidays are all about and what the year is about and what video games are about. Just simple fun. Pop it on, shoot some friends, put a podcast on and explore the world. It's such a good time. Game of the year, 2021. Halo Infinite.
All right, so I might be a bit of a fan of Tim Schafer and his games like Brutal Legend, Day of the Tentacle, and so many others. And Psychonauts 2, of course, is the game of the year for me. You know, it was just such a polished action platformer, puzzler that really ticked all the boxes. Just so fun to play around with the superpowers like levitation and mind reading and slowing down time. Just such a great game. You gotta play Psychonauts 2 on your platformer of choice. Definitely the best game. For me, it was a tough year with so many amazing games like Returnal and Deathloop and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and too many others to mention, but I gotta say, Psychonauts 2 it is for me. Thank you so much to Double Fine for such a great job, and Xbox as well, the game studio, amazing.
My pick for game of the year is one that's personal to me. It's The Artful Escape. You can get it on Xbox Game Pass, and I recommend everybody giving this thing a shot. It is only like 3.5 hours, but it is one of the most memorable 3.5 hour gaming experiences I have ever had. It is from Annapurna, and that means you know you're getting something quality. It is such a psychedelic adventure unlike anything I've ever experienced. I love the story, I love the characters, and I absolutely love the hype that the entire game has. If you're a fan of the colors around me, you're going to enjoy this video game. Not enough people gave it a shot, and I really think you should because I do think you're going to like it.
Now, there may be some recency bias here because I just finished playing Halo Infinite's campaign, and it's kind of all I can think about right at this moment. When I think about the game of the year for 2021, I want to say things like Forza Horizon 5. I want to say things like Tales of Arise, which I absolutely love. Psychonauts 2 had my heart and my brain this year, but I think at the end of the day, at the end of the year, Halo Infinite it captured everything. I've played the campaign once. I'm gonna fire it up and play it again. Weapon, I think, is one of my favorite characters of the year, right alongside Raz in Psychonauts 2. But Weapon, the new AI in Halo Infinite, is so lovely, so endearing, and such a great addition to the lore. And I just had such a great time with this game. So Halo Infinite really stands above the rest. It seems like a big game too. This seems, when I think about game of the year, Halo Infinite is a juggernaut. It's gigantic. Multiplayer has been a hit over the last couple weeks in beta. The campaign is rock solid in its gameplay. The story gripped me to a huge degree, and I was just really hyped to play it. So Game of the Year in my books goes to Halo Infinite.
The game that I would pick for Game of the Year would be Inscription. This game came out on PC a little while ago, and unfortunately it hasn't come out to consoles, but I really hope it does. It's got a fantastic story, an incredibly great atmospheric world that is just so rich with details and visuals, and it gets weird. It's a card game, and the card game mechanics are really fun, but as you play it along, the game gets much more stranger in a really fun way. I don't want to spoil the story for anyone, but I highly recommend you play this if you haven't. It's definitely, I want to say a sleeper hit, but I'm pretty sure a lot of other people are coming out of the woodworks to play this. But if you have a chance, you got a PC, give this a shot, and especially if you like card games. It's probably not exactly what you're expecting, but it'll deliver a whole lot more.
It's Psychonauts 2 for Double Fine. Best game that I played this year, hands down. I love the messaging, love the campaign, just the game experience, the level design, music. It felt like I was in a Pixar movie. Highly recommend it for those that are watching this video. Make sure right now, download it. It's on almost every platform out there. Psychonauts 2, go for it. You can enjoy it.
So my pick for Game of the Year is a little tricky. There's no big, definitive, yes, that's Game of the Year game, you know? There's no big God of War or a Bloodborne or a Witcher or something. So this year, more than most, it just comes down to personal taste for me. So my Game of the Year this year is Life is Strange True Colors. I lost my brother to cancer a few years ago, and Life is Strange just deals with loss and grief and identity, and Alex Chen is just one of my all-time favorite characters ever in any medium. I know that's a bold statement, but I just connected to her in such a powerful way, and Life is Strange True Colors is just so memorable, and it means so much to me, and it's just not gonna leave my mind, my heart, my soul anytime soon.
Incredible, sharing that happened through all of that stuff. Michael Huber is an amazing guy, and he's gone through some really heavy stuff, and I just loved his honesty there and what he shared, and honestly, True Colors, Life is Strange is fantastic. It's such an incredible game. But lots and lots of good choices all the way through that. We have more from our guests around the industry. Let's take a look at some more Game of the Year ideas and suggestions and choices right here.
What is my Game of the Year? Is it Metroid Dread? Not quite. It's actually Centipede Recharged. Yeah, I am super old school, as a lot of you guys know. It is awesome. It takes the arcade classic Centipede and brings it to the future, to now. It's just a great shooter, one button firing, 12 power-ups, including spread fire. Amazing. It's just super fun, and it's got some great two-player modes. I play this game with my wife, and I play it solo, and I don't miss the trackball, which I never thought I would say about a Centipede remake. Unbelievable. Centipede Recharged. I highly recommend it, guys.
Hey, I'm Eric Monticelli. I'm the Senior Director of Product Development at Marvel Games. My pick for Game of the Year, I'm going to go with my biased picks, which would be Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I think the team at Eidos did a phenomenal job crafting the world, getting our IP, understanding what to do with the IP, just a real love and passion for who the Guardians are, and told a great story about family and belief and just, learning to fit in when you feel like a bunch of misfits. Love the story they told, love the art of that game, love everything they did. So that's my bias pick. I got to work on that game with the talented teams there and loved everything Eidos Montreal did there. If I take off my Marvel hat, and the game that I think could win Game of the Year is Psychonauts 2. Double Fine just knocked it out of the park. They're just a great studio. Always been phenomenally just thoughtful and creative and imaginative. And some of the worlds I went into, some of the levels were just like huge, just psychedelic trips and just super fun. I love I don't want to spoil who the character is, but I love the levels that kind of look like old Beatles songs. We'll just put it that way. Great game. Great story, really, really powerful message for that game too. And those are two games, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy and Psychonauts 2, that just have really strong, beautiful messages, and I love what they did.
My Game of the Year at this point so far, going with Psychonauts 2. That game is incredible. It's really fun world to explore. It's really well written. But the thing that just stands out to me so much is just how creative that game is. Every level is just some other combination of things that just like, how in the world did this come out of anybody's head? Yeah, and just the hub worlds are really good, just every part of it. I love it. I love Raz's family and the music, and crazy game shows. Just, yeah, wonderful, wonderful game.
For my game of the year, I gotta admit there were two that were front-running everything else, and I had to pick one for this video, so I'm going with Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2 caught me off guard a bit here because I wasn't expecting the level of quality out of the game that we ended up getting. Originally, I was looking at it and said, you know what, I liked Psychonauts 1, it flew under the radar for a lot of people, but Psychonauts 2, when that came out, I think a lot more people took notice because it's a very high-quality 3D platformer with a ton of unique charm to it. The art style is great, the platforming is awesome, and there was a bit more emotion that could pull you in for this game with some of the storytelling, and I think it's a blast to play through, and it's an experience you're not going to get anywhere else. So I'm going with Psychonauts 2 for my game of the year.
The best game of 2021 is hands down Inscription. This is a game made by Daniel Mullins out in Vancouver, BC, and what it is indescribable. It's a bit of a deck builder with puzzly escape room elements. It has psychological horror elements, a bit of a mystery game, but it's also a roguelike. But what it really is truly unique and captivating and amazingly atmospheric, and it stands out as such a powerful experience in a year full of amazing indie titles. On top of that, it has amazing art and sound design. It is an absolute must-play.
For Game of the Year is Forza Horizon 5. Why? Because of the same reasons that I have enjoyed Final Fantasy XIV throughout this entire year. Forza Horizon is probably one of the premier racing experiences, and it has been for a very long time. I'm not a very huge sim racer fan. I've always leaned a little bit more on the arcade side, so Gran Turismo has never really reached me in the same way, and Forza Horizon has carried that baton for quite some time. And to be honest, they've had an excellent game since probably Forza Horizon 2 that they've just iterated on time and time again. So at this point, it's just a fantastic experience driving across all of these different locations. And while I had problems with Forza Horizon 4's England, Forza Horizon 5's Mexico offers so much variety in terms of racing experiences and aesthetics. It's just so amazing to jump in, pick your favorite car out of a list of 500 and race around Mexico in a way that you wouldn't ever do in real life. And that's why Forza Horizon has always been excellent, and Forza Horizon 5 is the best version of that experience yet.
My game of the year is Age of Empires 4. I've been waiting so long for this game and the continuation of this franchise. I love what they've done with the game. I love the new mechanics and physics in the game, especially when you take down a castle wall. It's really cool, and I love how they've improved the game style. So it's my personal game of the year.
Okay, so my game of the year for 2021. This is actually like a really tough one for me because I loved so many different games for so many different reasons. I had a goddamn blast with Resident Evil Village, one of my favorite games probably of the decade. I love the atmosphere, the puzzles, the boss fights were fantastic. The entire world design was awesome. Just like really reminded me of like some of my favorite moments of Resident Evil 4. But I have to go with Forza Horizon 5, which is bizarre because I'm not a racing game guy at all, but this game completely hooked me. I was obsessed with it. I got every collectible. I barely even did the racing stuff in it, but I just love driving around this game. It was just so much fun. So sorry, Resident Evil Village, but it's Forza Horizon 5.
Yo, what's up, It's the one and only hip-hop gamer, Hot 97 Logitech GAMD, and I'm gonna throw EP up in there, you know what I'm saying? Electric Playground, love you, bro. Victor Lucas in the building, I see you, son. Now, for this right here, this is game of the year, right? And yo, I already just told you, dog. You know what I'm saying? When I mentioned the PlayStation game of the year, in terms of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, this is also my game of the year, bro. Like, there's no game, period, that touches Ratchet & Clank, you know what I'm saying? So first off, like I said, I love the gameplay, I love the story, the DualSense controller. When you use every single weapon is different, you know what I'm saying? Being able to go through different cities and different environments in an instant like that. Yo, bro, there's times where you can stand in between the different environments. It's unbelievable, you know what I'm saying? This is how I don't understand how I didn't win no awards. Like, are you kidding me? There's no game on the face of the earth right now that's pulled off what Insomniac Games pulled off that you can go to the store and buy right now or download. And it wasn't one of those games where it looked good or performed good because it was just in like a closed environment. This was open, mad stuff on screen. You had ray tracing, you had performance mode, and you had fidelity mode. You had all this stuff. Yo, the technology in this game alone, son. Come on, B. Ain't nobody touching. Yo, you're playing a CG film. That's what it looked like. No exaggeration, son. You're playing a CG film. So yes, this game is game of the year. I loved it. I played it straight through. I love the introduction of the new characters. Like, yo, come on, man. I'm telling you right now, son. Ratchet and Clank ripped apart. The entire game is a mic drop. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, that was my game of the year. I love that game. It's the one and only hip hop gamer. All day, baby. Dope of the game. The best right here. Electric Playground. Stay tuned. We out of here. Ratchet.
Okay, we have a lot of other guests from across the landscape out there that have got some choices for their game of 2021.
Hey, this is Rocco from Mega64, and my game of the year might be Yakuza Like a Dragon, but that's technically a 2020 game, even though I waited to play it on PS5, which came out in 2021. If I can't pick Yakuza Like a Dragon, then my game of the year is Metroid Dread on the Switch. I'm very excited for Metroid Prime 4, don't get me wrong, but my heart has always belonged to 2D Metroid. I loved the environments, the music, the design, just of everything. They truly delivered and gave us the 2D Metroid game we had been waiting a long time for. The only thing I could criticize is maybe next time, let's make it a little easier. Some of us happen to be terrible at games, so I don't, maybe next time think of us. Just a thought. But, aside from a couple bosses I had to fight couple hundred times. I love this game. They really knocked it out of the park. So Metroid Dread, my favorite game of the year. If I can't pick Yakuza Like a Dragon. They're both good. I can't decide.
Best game of 2021 for me, that is definitely Deathloop. Just the whole concept behind this game is amazing. That you're this assassin with amnesia stuck in a time loop, and you wake up on this island and you've got a single day to kill 8 targets. And every day you fail to do that, you repeat the time loop until you learn their movements and their personalities. And it's this wild mix of 1960s kind of culture with high-tech, but kind of low-tech weaponry, and just like this perfect stew of ideas. The folks at Arcane Studios are the same ones who did the Dishonored series and Prey being one of my all-time favorite games. And they just kind of like peaked or reached a new peak with Deathloop. It's just full of cool weapons and funny characters and a wild world and amazing ideas. And yeah, for me, there was no better game in 2021 than Deathloop.
I'm gonna be a bit unorthodox here and say that my game of the year is not one that was released this year. It is a bit of cheating here, but I'll explain. I think the game of the year for me has to be Sonic Generations. Thanks to the Microsoft backwards compatibility program, it's sort of like brand new again. And I've really been loving everything about that game again in a brand new way. So while it is cheating, I think with Microsoft's excellent program, you really get to see just how great that game design was. And it's a shame that Sonic Team didn't continue to do so with the future games, and maybe it will come back. There's always rumors of that. But I have to say that the game of the year for me is the kind of remastered Sonic Generations. It's not fully remastered, but thanks to the backwards compatibility program, I'd say it still counts. For me, it does at least.
There were a lot of really good games that came out throughout the entire year, but I think for me, what it comes down to is the game that I had the most fun with and the game that I was the most immersed with. And that's a game that came out, or at least the campaign came out, just a couple of days ago, or at least as of when this is being recorded. And you probably guessed it at this point. That's right, my game of the year is Halo Infinite. I've been having a blast with the multiplayer for the last 2 weeks. It is so much fun, and it feels very much like a true sequel to Halo 3. It's still missing some features and the monetization is a bit of an issue, but hopefully with community feedback, 343 continues to improve the multiplayer aspect. What they don't need to really worry about is the campaign. Talk about immersion. Halo Infinite's story is incredible. I was just completely blown away with Halo Infinite. What else can I say? And it feels like there's still so much that 343 can do to improve the game and make it that ultimate Halo experience that everyone is dying for. But right now, it still stands as my game of the year.
My game of the year for 2021 has got to be It Takes Two. I absolutely adore the game. It's awesome to play with a friend. You have to play it with a friend. And the experience of cooperating and exploring this incredible miniaturized world is so much fun. The game's gorgeous. It's way longer and bigger than it ever needed to be. There's just so much game there. And it constantly is reinventing itself, doing new things, changing up how you play. It's kind of a riff on every game genre. You play every kind of game inside this game. And it does almost every kind of game really, really well. It's a blast. I found myself exclaiming as I was playing with my friend, "What? This is amazing!" over and over and over again. There are so many cool moments in it. And there's nothing like playing with your friend. It figures out how to do that in a very, very fun, clever way. Such a wonderful game. And it has heart. It has a beautiful story of this marriage trying to come back together. I loved It Takes Two, and it is my game of the year for 2021.
My pick for game of the year this year has to be Deathloop. It is no secret that I am a huge fan of Arcane and the games that they make, and Deathloop just felt like this beautiful culmination in all the skills and things that I have grown to know and love about Arcane games, all in one beautiful, beautiful title. It was so elegant, it's so clever, and I genuinely just... the act of replaying it over and over to get mastery of it in order to finish it just meant that my appreciation for it just grew the more and more I played it. I think it is an absolutely unbelievably incredible game, and so my game of the year is Deathloop.
You know, this is hard. I don't really know yet what my game of the year is. Here's what I'll tell you. Unlike a lot of folks who suggest this was not a great year for gaming, I think if you stay on the mainstream path, I think it was a really good year for gaming. But yeah, you didn't have a huge just slam dunk or a series of slam dunks. You had a lot of really decent, really cool games. But I play a lot of things, and if you look at the indie scene this year, it was incredibly impressive. So I don't know, man. I mean, you're asking me to pick a favorite kid because there were some great things this year. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I don't know if this is going to stick. But I think as of right now, oh my goodness gracious. Here's what I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you this. Game of the year, and I know Victor's like, he sends me a text like, keep it between 30 and 60 seconds. Hey, that's how he sounds. That's how all Canadians sound. I can't do that, Victor, because this is an important question and it matters. It's between two things that have a great deal in common. One is Century Age of Ashes, which is a brand new free-to-play game where you basically, it's dogfighting with dragons. It's Twisted Metal with fucking serpents in the sky. Or a game called Severed Steel, which is a single-player first-person shooter. Both of them allow you as a gamer to actually feel like it felt watching and reading about dragons when you were a kid growing up, or watching, in Severed Steel's case, action movies like, you know, Die Hard and Speed and John Wick. I've never seen a video game capture putting you in the shoes of like an action movie star like Severed Steel. It delivers the fantasy I've had for wanting that kind of game my whole life. So between Severed Steel and Century Age of Ashes, I'm going to go with Severed Steel at the moment as my game of the year 2021.
Let us move on to our nominees for the best game of 2021. Returnal, developed by Housemarque and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Halo Infinite, developed by 343 Industries and published by Xbox Game Studios. Metroid Dread, developed by Mercury Steam and Nintendo and published by Nintendo. Deathloop, developed by Arcane Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. Ratchet & Clank: A Rift Apart, developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. It Takes Two, developed by Hazelight Studios and published by Electronic Arts. Psychonauts 2, developed by Double Fine and published by Xbox Game Studios. Tales of Arise, developed and published by Bandai Namco. Forza Horizon 5, developed by Playground Games and published by Xbox Game Studios. Okay, well that leaves us with our winner, which is Halo Infinite, which is the opposite of new IP. It is IP that came with huge expectations, but we have a little celebration of Halo Infinite as our winner for Game of the Year, and we'll come back and we'll talk about exactly why Electric Playground has chosen this game as the best of 2021. There are going to be a lot of different opinions about Halo being chosen as the best game of the year. A lot of people, I see people are happy, people are not happy in the chat. We didn't hear Halo Infinite come up all that often by our guests from across the industry, but I'll tell you why I really chose this as the game. I played the campaign about a week before it was out in the world and got through it. Everything else that I had to do around work stopped. And it was because I wanted to get to the end. I wanted to feel all of what 343 had endeavored to build for this thing. And I just felt like, wow, this is not only a terrific game, like if you just take it out of context and out of all of the expectations that we have around this, it works on every level that way. But it does loop in the history and the love and the sharing and all of the work that Bungie did prior to 343. And it really was a showpiece for why we care about Halo. And then I noticed how much the multiplayer was really hooking me, and I was just loving it. It became effortless. It was interesting that I was playing that and Battlefield 2042 at the same time, and I'd just come off of Call of Duty Vanguard. But the thing I wanted to play in multiplayer out of all of these games was Halo. It was an effortless win to jump in, and it was joyous every single time I did touch the game. And I just felt like that collection of all of these different disparate elements, it's not perfect, and there's still more refinement and more, content that's coming and more things that we can expect out of it. But God, it's a massive, massive title. And I think the other part of this story is that we didn't expect that 343 was going to actually pull this off. We thought it was in trouble, this game. We thought that they delayed it for a reason. And I don't know, maybe my expectations were set a little bit lower. But what I do hear across the industry, I think, Foobs, you're partway through the campaign right now. And, I feel the love. I hear the love for Halo again. And so when I sort of totaled it all up, it's like, well, this is kind of an irrefutable win. Like it's just the total package, It's got us back into this franchise, which we felt was kind of sliding away. 4 and 5 weren't terrible games, but it felt like, okay, maybe Halo had its moment. But now it's back, and it's a huge new moment, and it's crazy fun. And also all the affordable ways that people can access the game and the multitude of ways that people can play it. It's just like, yep, nope, this is it. This is the most fun video game experience that I've had in 2021. And all of those games could have won, you know. And up until Halo, I was pretty sure I was going to give it to Returnal because of all the things that you just said, Foobs. Having played... Thermal Pylon. Having played as much Halo as you have now, because I know you've been playing the multiplayer as well, do you feel like... Do you share some of these thoughts too, or do you think that I've made the wrong choice there?
No, I mean, I'll definitely agree with it. But again, it's another thing. All these games could have won.
Any one of them, yes.
All these games,
including Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which is a phenomenal game.
And it's such a great just showcase piece for what the PlayStation 5 is.
Totally, yes.
And what it can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like just the expectation for Halo is obviously it's, you know, when you're talking about Xbox, the 20th anniversary of Xbox.
That too.
And you're dropping a Halo game. You can't mess it up.
And it was supposed to be a 19th anniversary of Halo.
Yeah.
And there's something about the way that this all worked coming out this year, the redemption year for Xbox in a lot of ways. You know, the Bethesda news was that like Xbox just crushed it this year. Yeah. They really just put the flag in the ground, said, we're here for games, we're here for good, and you know, we're going to do a lot of things to let people play a lot of our backwards compatibility, our backwards content, stuff from
compatibility content.
Backwards compatibility content, a lot of words in that. And we're going to start delivering on some of these huge purchases and investments that we have been investing in. And I think that's great. I think that's just great news for them, but for the video game industry.
Yeah. I mean, and the same could be said for PlayStation. You know, they had, you know, Deathloop exclusive this year.
Sure.
They had Ratchet and Clank.
And Returnal.
Which were all nominated on this list. And I mean,
and two great remasters and MLB, you know, yes, for sure. PlayStation did, but they didn't have a Last of Us or a God of War or
they will next year.
But they will, yeah.
They gave us the PS5 director's cut.
And same with Sony. Like they had Metroid Dread and they had a really good
Nintendo.
Mario game, but they didn't have that 2017 type year. What's that?
Said Sony.
You said Sony.
Oh, sorry. And then, yeah, same thing could be said with Nintendo. Is the they didn't have that 2017 kind of crazy year with Zelda and Mario and.
What are you talking about, Vic? They put out not just Spelunky 1, but Spelunky 2 as well this summer.
Okay, all right.
Two Spelunkies came out on the Switch this year.
Well, and the Animal Crossing DLC.
And the Animal Crossing DLC was incredible. And Pokemon and Zelda kind of remakes and redos were really fun as well. But it wasn't that same, you know, like it wasn't like the Astral Chain year, which was our game of the year in 2019. That game was incredible. Was it 2019? 2018? I don't know. Time has no meaning anymore. I can't remember when things happened. I want to hear from our chat real quick. You guys punch in your favorite game, your game of the year picks for 2021. And as you're doing that, we're going to thank our sponsor, the Gaming Stadium. Thank you for supporting Electric Playground throughout the year and for supporting the Rocket and Raygun Awards. The Rocket and Raygun Awards are brought to you by the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation, and they've got tournaments happening every single weekend that you don't want to miss out on. You can find out all about them at tgs.gg. That's the energy we love, Foobs. I love it. Okay, I've got some choices here. Demeo or Song in the Smoke from the VR Grid. Demeo is an excellent game. Coco Beware is all about Riders Republic. I love that freaking game. It won Best Sports Game, Coco. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart from Star-Lord, Arthurian Legends from The Last Disciple. I love these games that the radar dish hasn't moved over. Cruisin' Blast from Ninty Fan, that's awesome. Quake Remastered, Power Rangers. Death's Door from Little J Club. What do we got here? Demeo, I see, not putting a game on a disc. Smash Brothers King. Oh, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy from Blair Farrell. Yeah, that really surprised me. You guys haven't played that game yet.
I have not. Sadly, I'm sorry.
Should. Yeah, it's an excellent game.
I'll add it to the list. I got another week and a half.
P2, Horizon 5, and It Takes Two for me from JBJ Blaze. The Untitled Goose Game is my favorite played this year. Honorable mention for Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut from John Yomtov. Also agrees with me with Halo Infinite. Votes for Psychonauts 2 are in there. Vic, you deserve a standing ovation for this whole week. Let's give Vic an ovation. You're so kind. Thank you, Thunderpin. Thank you, honestly, thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of this, but also for sending in the vids. I had a lot of fun putting all of those montages together. Got some great commentary from everybody. And thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me throughout the week, but also today. This was a lot of fun.
Hey, anytime.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Pandemic, Vic. We don't leave the house really much. I mean, I'm in the same room Shaun was in yesterday.
Well, Foobs, your copy of Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball should arrive before Christmas.
Are you
You're
kidding?
welcome.
It's behind this screen.
Oh, yeah. You guys rule. Thank you so much. Happy holidays if I don't see you or talk to you before then. And we'll definitely connect for podcasts and all kinds of fun stuff in 2022. Okay, you guys? Put that.
Okay, sure. Are you talking to us or chat?
I'm talking to you guys.
Oh, okay.
We'll put that EP microphone to good use, my friend. Thank you, everybody. We will see you soon. I'll be back on Tuesday with a review of The Matrix Resurrection, so look out for that on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/EPN TV. Thank you all for being here, for supporting, for subscribing, and we'll see you soon. Until then, play forever.